So we want to look at the simple structure of C programming language. So if you want to write, just like in any other programming language, you want to write a C language, you must start with a comment. It can be a single line commenting or multiple line commenting. So when you have 2 forward slash like this, we call it single line commenting. But for multiple line commenting, we have a slash and a star. So this is multiple line commenting. So you continue to another line, it will still be in blue. Continue to another line until you put another star and a slash. That's when it will no more be in blue. And anything that is a comment is not executable by the compiler. So after your comments, then is your preprocessor directives. And how do you identify your preprocessor directive is through the hash. So your preprocessor directive will always start with an hash. It can be for inclusion or it can be for a definition. So when it is for inclusion, it might be that you want to include a library. So if there is a function you are using a particular library, then you are going to include that library. For example, in C language, there are 2 popular functions that you use for your input and output. So you have the printf and the scanf. The printf is for output, scanf is for input. So these 2 functions, they reside inside a particular library. The name of the library is the standard input and output library. So if you are using any of these functions, you must include the library, which is called the standard input and output library, or else it will not work. It will complain that it doesn't understand what you mean by printf or what you mean by scanf. Then you can also try to include a library, a file, another C file that you have written, and you still want to use some things inside that C file. So instead of writing the whole code all over again, you just include that library back into the new one that you are writing. So if the name of the file is registration now, you just write hash include registration.c. So but that file, the only thing that file must reside in the same directory as the current file that you are writing. Then you can also define use the definition. So it might be that you want to define a macro function. The function might not exist before, but you want to tell the compiler about the function, and it's a very small function. So we call it macro function. So you can use it. You can use a preprocessor directive to define your macro function. And at the same time, if you have a constant in your program, so instead of writing that constant over and over again, like your pi that is equal to 3.142, instead of writing 3.142 several times in your code, especially when you have a very big code, or maybe it's not even a popular constant that you can always remember the value, and it's a very big code, a big code that you want to write. So instead of repeating that value, or trying to keep the value of that particular constant in your head, so you just give that value a name and you define it. So when you define it, anytime you want to write to use that particular value, it will be easier for you to remember the name rather than the value. Then so the preprocessor directive, then after the preprocessor directive, then you have the main function. So you are going to define your main function. If you don't put the main function in there, your code cannot work at all. So now let's try and write a simple program that can output something very simple. So for example, if you want to write a program that can greet people that hello world, I'm here. I'm also here to code just like every other person I've been here. So you can write your comment as my first code. So now your preprocessor directive, you need your input and output library, which is the stdio. Then you move on to your main function. So your main function, what you actually want to do is that you want to greet the whole world. So you just write hello world. So when you are saving, you give it a name that is descriptive. Then you check the save type. You know that we are writing a C code, but by default it will show as a C++. So you have to change it to C. If you don't change it, you will be running a C++ code and not a C code. And you will not quickly know, because you can always run your C inside your C++. So you now run it. You can see hello world coming out here. Then another thing is your escape sequence. You have escape sequence that you can use to format your output. We are going to look at the two popular ones, well, 2 or 3 popular ones, like the /n. So you use a character slash, your backslash, and an alphabet. That means that forms an escape sequence. So like now you can make use of your slash and n. So for a new line, if you want to write another line here now, where you want to write your name, print F. I am Akandeyebola. So if you write something like this, if you run it, everything will be on the same line. Hello world, I am Akandeyebola. You can even see the word and I coming together. But if you don't, this is not neat enough. So for it to be neat, so what you are going to do for the 2 sentences to be on separate lines, you put your /n at the back of the first one. So the second sentence will display on a new line. So you can see now, Akandeyebola is on another line. So hello world, I am Akandeyebola. So just like that. Now, if you want to make use of your tab too, so you can use your tab when you want to create something like, maybe you want to create a table, and you know tables are in rows and columns. So you have to, maybe you have 2 columns now. One column is on name and the other one is age. So you want to keep the name and the age of students. So you can make use of your tab to space the column, even if you have up to 3. So you can just write name, then /t. So this will create space between one column and the other. So the second one is age, then you write /t again. Maybe the next one is department. So if you want to do something like this, so you can see, so that /t will create space in between name, age, and department, so that it will form a column at the end of this. So when you run this, you can see name, age, department, they are all well spaced. So, and at the same time, if you want to create something like a line in between name, age, and department, you can also do that. You just need to have the picture of a table in your mind, so then it will be informing you on what to do. So you make use of this character, your shift. You will see those 2 dotted lines on your keyboard. So you press shift and you press that key, it will give you this line. So you will see the way it will also display. So you can see it's like there is a line after each one of them, like that. So you want to move to your second line now, and maybe your second line, you want to write the name of the first students, the age, and all of that. So you write something like print F, So you write maybe the name is Oyebola Akande. So you have to put your /t. The next thing, age, maybe 25. Okay, remember that there is this line there before my tab, so I put that 25. Then there will be that line again. Then I will put a department, maybe computer science. So let's see the way this will run. Then, because that would be on another line, the name, the age, and computer science that I've written, they will be on another line. So you write your /n on the previous print F. Your /n will be there. So let's run this. So, but if you look at it, you can see that Oyebola Akande has moved even under age, and 25 is now appearing under departments. So that means that you need to go and format it again. So that means that that's your rule. You have to shift them very well. So the name of students, you have to give enough space for it to write it before getting to age. So what you will do now, you now go and put more tab here to accommodate the long name. So, and you will run it to see the way it looks like again. So you can see. So that shows that this, so what you are going to do now is you will format it. You will make sure, you now remove this one from here. You now make it to come somewhere here. And you run it again. So that is how you will continue to adjust until you have everything perfect. You will continue to adjust it.